Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
Innovative Thinkers episode number 447. Innovative Thinker.
Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black entrepreneur experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Our next guest is the lead storyteller for Silver Lining, a fintech on a mission to change the economy one small business at a time. Welcome, Courtney Napier.
Hello, Dr. Richards. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and Silver Lining?
Thank you so much. So my name is Courtney Napier. I was born to an incredible military family. My father was in the Marine Corps, and we went from California to Raleigh, North Carolina, where I was raised. And he is incredible in that he was a part of the military, but he also was a business owner and has owned a business on and off since I was very little. He just got back into consulting recently, and he's my main inspiration for wanting to take on a job like being lead storyteller at Silver Lining. I'm a creative at heart, a writer, so I never thought I'd be in the business world working in a corporate situation. But when I signed up as a slapster in 2020, after I started my first business, I started a magazine. I was just so impressed and impacted by Carissa, the CEO, and her vision to bring real, tangible, small business support to anybody, anywhere in the world. It really, really spoke to me. And so when I heard that they were hiring for a lead storyteller, I put my little resume in and I got hired about a year ago. So it's been an amazing ride to apply my skills as a creative writer in this space of being able to tell this story of someone who saw this incredible need in the marketplace for small business support built by a small business owner, as opposed to a government agency or a nonprofit. And the astronomical difference that was in terms of just seeing real tangible results. And so it's been a really fun journey this past year being lead storyteller for Silver Lining. And I'm excited to share their story as well as my own, rather, here on your amazing podcast.
Thank you for that. And talk about the ideal client for Silver Lining. And I know you said small businesses, and probably a better question would be, give us an example since you've been working there. By all means, share nothing that you cannot share, but share a story around a small business that you have seen the impact that Silver Lining has made.
Absolutely. That's such a great question. So there's an incredible business owner named Eduardo. And he actually lives in New York City. He was an actor for many years. He worked on Broadway. And then at a certain point, he decided to, step off of the stage and change direction as far as his work to support people who are looking to use their voices out into the world. And he became someone who helps train people in speaking and that kind of thing, speaking in like public speaking, of course. He is very, very passionate about his work. He is very colorful, very exuberant, and a great listener. And he signed up early on in Silver Lining's story and was able to get the support he needed to use his talents that he had bucket loads of and get the proper business guidance, something that he was lacking, to actually make his idea of a company into a reality. I think his company is called Fearless Leaders, and it's an excellent, excellent company out of New York City.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So, Courtney, why don't you give us a story around the impact that Silver Lining is making or have made in reference to one of the business owners?
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Richards. Of course, I love telling stories about our slapsters. I think they're all amazing. One that really moved me, his name is Eduardo, and he is the CEO of Fearless Communications out in New York. And he is a creative like myself. He is an actor and he's worked on Broadway, just oozing with talent and just exuberance. And at a certain point in his life, he decided that he was kind of done with that show business run around. And he switched lanes, if you will, to start supporting folks who aren't as comfortable with the stage as he is. People who have public speaking as a part of their jobs or something that they're aspiring to and need support on gaining that confidence. And so he came to us very early on in the excuse me, in the silver lining story. He came along very early on in that and was able to get the business guidance that he lacked, kind of the rudimentary things of finance and referrals and how to get clients. And we were able to pair that with his incredible talent and exuberance and creativity, as well as his own personal goals of success. And he has become incredibly successful helping people all over, not just New York City and state, but all over the world become more confident and impacting speakers.
And tell us about Silver Lining for a small business. And I want you to speak specifically to the small business owner and your business model. Is it subscription based? Is it an app? Are they working with individual mentors? If someone contacted your office, and what is the experience? Take us on
Yeah.
that journey.
Absolutely. So you might come across one of our ads or some of our content on LinkedIn or Instagram, or hear one of spots like this, on interviews and TV and podcasts, and think to yourself, I want to make an impact with my business, but I don't really know where to start. I'm not a business person. I'm a creative, I'm an artist, or I'm a mom and I created something like, skincare for my children. And now everybody that I know wants to buy it. What's next for me? And so when you have made that decision, that commitment that you want this to be your full-time gig, right? You want this to replace your job. You want this to replace whatever else you were doing to make money and really pour all of your heart and attention into this business. Hopefully, we cross paths. And when you come to us, we're going to talk about what your dreams are, what your goals are, not just your monetary goals, but we actually have something called an impact goal that we have that really spoke to me when I was a slopster. And that impact goal is about how do you want to affect your community, be it your family, your neighborhood, your city, or even the world, with the business that you are giving birth to. And for me, I honestly wanted to be able to take 2 weeks off and take my family on a vacation. That was my first impact goal. Sometimes it's bigger. Sometimes people have environmental goals and what have you. But we sit down, and that person sits down with what we call a slap expert, and they go through what their idea of success is. They build their profile. We call it a slap build. So they subscribe to our software. It's a monthly subscription and it's need based. It's actually, we have an accessible for all method of charging our subscription so that it matches where someone else is financially and what their goals are as far as their revenue goals for their business. So it's worth $300 a month. And the mission of Silver Lining is to change the world one small business at a time. So we are taking a small business exactly where they are and a business owner exactly where they are and saying, based on your goals and based on your financial reality, you get to choose how much you invest per month. And we pair them with a slap expert. They usually interview with one person and get assigned another person based on what their goals are. And they also have access to a SLAP strategist. And these are some incredible business owners that we work with who come in and bring their expertise and wisdom from years of experience, years of successful business building. And we have kind of affiliate groups they get to speak into, and you get to learn from a successful business owner as well. So you have this expert who's expert on our software, and then working with business owners one-on-one. And then you have access to a whole array of successful, seasoned business owners to come and speak into your situation and bring you and basically answer any questions that you have. We also have connect groups. Have the pleasure of leading one of those slap meets, actually is what we call them. And mine is called Connect Prep. So I get to bring my love for words and for marketing and help people tell stories of their small businesses. It's honestly my favorite thing to do every month, is to sit down with a group of small business owners and hear what they're going through, be able to answer their questions, and share with them ways that they can get their story out there further into the world. And so that's essentially what the process is. They create their SLAP build, which has all their goals in it. And whether that's revenue goals and that kind of thing, we have something called campaigns where people can actually schedule their business actions for each quarter. And they get to track and measure their revenue progress as well as their good, thoughtful, aligned business action process right there in the computer. And we track those things. We track their success. We tabulate it. We have a top 10 scoreboard for people to see how they're kind of competing in the SLAP community. For those people who like that little bit of competition, that's something that is useful for them. And we find a lot of ways to just let them know that they are the most amazing, the most brave and courageous people on the planet to walk away from a salary or to take a smaller salary in order to put the bulk of their time and energy into building a business. That's one of the most brave things you can do. And they deserve all the help and support they can get. And we are excited to give it to them every single day.
So clients on the Silver Lining, can they be hybrid, or is it a preference for them to be full-time working in the business?
So our ideal client that we look for is someone who is able to or has already committed the bulk of their time and energy into their business. Once COVID hit, that really helped our CEO see that no matter what anybody plans to do, real life has a way of choosing its own way. And so we definitely take folks who have other, whether that's side hustle jobs or even a main full-time job. It's really about the desire to be a business owner. That is your goal. That's your end goal. So the job, you're not looking to climb the ladder, for instance, at your corporate job, or you're not looking to take on multiple side gigs. And this small business that you've come to us about is really being treated as another side hustle. We are looking to work with small business owners who really, truly believe in the small business that they're coming to us about, that this is something that they have a lot of passion for. They see the potential in it. They want to be known as the creator of this thing, as the provider of this thing. That is their goal. And where you are on that journey, we'll take you anywhere you are on that journey. But the one thing we can't do for you is commit to your business. And so we want to make sure that when you come to us, because there's so many great tools, we even have a lending program, SLAP Capital, where folks can actually work towards earning the ability to take out loans for their company. And it's entirely behavior-based. We do not check credit scores for that at all, or assets or anything of that nature. It's about how hard they work, how much they're choosing to commit to the growth of their business and their own personal growth. And again, that's not something that we're comparing to the person to the left or to the right. For myself, I was a mom of 2 young children. So my commitment had to have looked different than someone who is single or someone who is retired. But it's about what I say I can do in integrity to my reality, and then me doing it. So that's how we measure commitment. It's what do you say you can do? How much can you put into this? And are you doing that? Are you meeting yourself at that expectation? And that's how we see commitment. And no matter what other things are stabilizing your journey, those incomes or situations that are stabilizing your journey, it's really all about your vision for yourself as a business owner and your willingness to commit to that vision. That's where we meet. We want that person.
Thank you for that. And Courtney,
Absolutely.
you went right into the area when you talked about the capital piece.
Yes.
For a lot of diverse and emerging businesses, that's huge. And so we know that there's not any guarantees in life.
Right.
And there are so many programs out there, there's so many resources. And for small businesses, especially diverse and emerging businesses, where they invest their capital, where they invest not just literally their capital, but their time.
Yeah.
That is so important. And someone is listening and saying, how is this going to be different? I've invested in a lot of coaches. I've invested time in SCORE, and still I am not scaling and growing.
Yeah.
I'm not reaching my goal. Speak on that.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Dr. Richards. And I'm going to kind of split this into 2. So you mentioned SCORE, which is an incredible program. We have a branch here in Raleigh. I've attended some of their meetings. They really do share some great information. The problem with support, small business support, technical assistance coming from a nonprofit is that a lot of times that nonprofit may not be run by someone who has successfully built businesses, right? It's really a kind of an economics program through sometimes government agencies and other nonprofits, that kind of thing. It's more kind of a community service. And oftentimes it just doesn't quite cross the line over into effective small business development, especially folks who have either kind of newer types of businesses, internet-based businesses, or folks who just kind of don't fit the mold of what you think of when you think of kind of small businesses I work with, like municipalities and that kind of thing, like someone who provides certain parts and pieces to like a plumbing situation, or someone who's an electrician, or someone who provides, financial services. What about the person who's a muralist? What about the person who's a fashion designer? How do you meet them where they are? And they're not necessarily the type of people who may get like a government contract or something like that. I feel like SCORE is excellent for those types of businesses who like pavers and plumbers and things of that nature, but especially the creative community or the maybe content development community. It's a little harder for them to tailor their services for folks in those types of industries. Now, another thing, when you talk about investment into coaches and that kind of thing, we love our coaches. We love our business influencers and that kind of thing, but they're speaking from one experience, right? And sometimes their business experience will match someone else's, and that investment is going to be a smart one for that person because maybe they're in the same industry, like real estate investors, right? Those are very popular online and in social media. And if you are a real estate investor, absolutely go get a real estate investor coach, get someone who's in your industry. But it gets a little bit tricky when this person might be literally a business influencer. They make money telling other people how to sell and make money, correct? You know what I mean? They're very charismatic and they have some good ideas. But once you make that exchange and you invest in their coaching, you start to realize, I think I've heard a lot of this before. I think I have a couple of those books on my shelf already. They're all highlighted and marked up and with the post-its and everything. I've done this before. So why? I'm frustrated because I just spent money on this coach and they're telling me things I already know. So the beauty of what Silver Lining provides is one, it's for profit, proudly for profit, right? Silver Lining is a company. It is a software platform developed with science-based, data-driven strategies for growing your business. So that's one. We have a small business owner all the way at the top. The other thing that we provide is we provide for one fee an incredible array of teachers from all different experiences. And we use your data, your version and idea of success to pair you with the right people who understand your industry, who understand your goals, who understand the impact you're trying to make in the world. And they help you accomplish what you want to accomplish. It's very, very, very personalized. The other thing is that we have this incredible, as I spoke to before, this incredible array of SLAP experts who are from all different industries and can share what they've gone through. I mean, one of my SLAP strategists was amazing. She was a mother and she built her businesses with small children. And so she was really able to relate with me in that experience. You might not get that from the social media hotshot, but you have the opportunity to get that from us because you have so many people supporting you that you can go to at any time. So you might have something set up maybe once a month with your SLAP expert, but you can literally call them and see them every day of the week if you want to. And your subscription doesn't change. Nothing changes. You're just tapping in and getting all the support you need to accomplish your definition of success.
Is there for your subscription, is there a requirement that you need to subscribe for 6 months, 3 months, a year?
That's a great question. We have kind of an annual cycle. There's no requirement, but you have, I don't want to say complete because we're always growing and changing, but you set your goals for 4 quarters of the year. That's how we set goals. And so once you set those goals and you start seeing that success, you're going to want to set another year of goals. I hope you want to set another year of goals, right? And so this is a program that you can stay in for as long as you want. But we highly recommend, it is like a 13-month base program. You have your first month to kind of get the ball rolling and set up your SLAP build. And then you're projecting your goals out over the 4 quarters of the year. And so that's when you've kind of completed a cycle, I should say, in Silver Lining, in SLAP, is when you've been with us for 13 months. That's like a cycle for us.
And give us the backstory of the CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us her story. Why did she start Silver Lining?
That's such a good question. So she started out in as far as her professional career. She has a background in psychology, and that's what she went to school for. But she has a background in marketing. And she, I think, experienced what a lot of us experience. This is in the 2000s, I believe. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, around 2005, 2008. And she experienced what a lot of us experience. She experienced that glass ceiling, for one, as a woman, did great things, but still kind of hit that glass ceiling. And she was burnt out. The corporate machine wants everything from you for as little as possible. And she ran into that and she realized it was time to kind of go her own way. And so SLAP actually began as a business consulting, kind of like a one-on-one kind of business consulting model. And that's what she did. She consulted with small business owners. She was raised by business owners. And so she had that kind of inherent insight, but then a deeper study what it means to run a successful business. And she helped other people do the same. But what kind of started happening after about 400 or so different consulting opportunities over the years is that she was kind of hearing some of the same issues pop up. And these issues weren't really matching what a lot of small business support providers and technical assistance providers were saying that small businesses needed. There was this gap that she noticed. I believe it was around 2010 or so, she decided to really launch Silver Lining in earnest and start building a team to provide small business owners with the ongoing support that they needed that was based on behavior change science. So behavior change science being the types of it's theories that are based on why people choose to do what they do and how people can choose to behave differently over time, what that looks like, what those steps are. Some of those steps include, of course, commitment, being able to commit to the thing that you're trying to accomplish. Another one of those things is tracking your behavior. She noticed that a lot of small business owners had a really hard time tracking their numbers, knowing their break-even number, for instance, off the top of their head, something that you should be able to, know if someone wakes you up at 2:00 in the morning, things like being able to track their actions as a small business owner. How are they spending their time? Those types of things. And then also community, that it can't just be one. It's not about having that one guru. It's about being surrounded by a community of people who are in support of the decision you're trying to make and that are very liberal and they share their encouragement with ease with you. They want to encourage you on your way. And so things like that, she decided to kind of marry these things together. It's like, this works for Weight Watchers. This works for, those people who have a Fitbit and are putting in their 10,000 steps. Why can't this work for business owners? And so she really did take that Weight Watchers type of model and she translated it into something that could help business owners build profitable and sustainable companies. And that's essentially her story and the story of how Silver Lining started.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
This is for you personally. What problem exists in the world today that you would like to solve?
Oh, that's a powerful question. The problem I see in the world today that I would like to solve is the ability for people to see that they're not missing anything, that they have what they need to have the life that they want. And I want to say it specifically, I'm talking about internally. Of course, society is such that there are givers and takers, and there are a lot of takers in our society. I, for one, I study the impacts of racism. I study these things. And so I understand that all those things are real. And my interest is overturning those internalized inferiority tables, those tables where people have digested the oppression that they've experienced in a way that starts to inform them about who they are to themselves. And the problem I want to solve is to undo that damage and help people understand that they are enough, that they are already good and deserving of success, that their ideas are sacred, that their passions are sacred, and that they have the ideas and the power to build the life they want and the business that's going to change the world. It's already there in them. They just need the support.
Advice you wish you had followed.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Really, it's the commitment piece. Committing to what I want. I don't say that lightly. We at Silver Lining don't say and don't use the word commitment lightly. Commitment is hard. Commitment is very hard when you have, a certain amount of dollars and a certain amount of time And those two things never seem to be as much as you need them to be. You always feel like you're coming up short. It is very hard to say no. It is very hard to delay gratification. And it's really hard to refuse to allow someone else's needs or who they think you should be it's really hard to keep that from making decisions for you. So really, really committing to whatever your dream is, and your time, your money, your social circle, making sure all those things are aligned with what you feel like you're here to do, because it's worth it. It is that important. And you will accomplish what you want, and you'll feel so good. You'll feel so accomplished because you used your time, energy, and resources in exactly the way you wanted. That's a really powerful thing that I wish I learned sooner.
I want you to have a monologue, Courtney. I want you to name this person, living or not. They've inspired you so much. Who is that person, and what are you saying to that person?
Oh, wow. James Baldwin inspires me most. What I would love to say to him, he actually passed away a day before my birthday. What I want to say is, I am so moved by how fiercely you believed in yourself as a poor gay child raised in Harlem without a college degree, without your family's full support. You pursued your dream of being a writer, and you wrote your story in a time where your story was seen as everything wrong with humanity. You chose to put your heart and your truth out there and share your story with the world, and continue sharing your story, all the facets of your story, the people that you love, the things you believe, the visions of the world you have, the critique of the country that you love. And you did it how you needed to, when and where. You picked up and left to Europe, to France, to find the creative and personal freedom to grow as a writer. And then you came back when you felt the spirit call and you saw that your people needed you here. You lived your life completely convinced that you had to do what you were born to do, and you had to be who you were born to be. And there was no other option for you. And for that, Mr. Baldwin, I admire you and will forever.
Courtney, why? Tell us your why. Why did you become a storyteller? Tell us about that journey. How did you get here?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, spending time with my elders was something that I've always loved to do since I was a child. And I was also always very curious as well. My grandma actually had a nickname for me. Her nickname was because that's essentially what it almost seemed like I was being called that all the time, because I was asking a question, Grandma, fill in the blank. And she would say, because. So I almost felt like that became my name. So my nickname was Because as a child. And her friends were always so charmed by me because I just loved them all so much and wanted to ask them so many questions and hear what they had to say about everything and anything. And so I've always loved stories. I've always loved books. And around 2018 or so, I got the opportunity to work with a small progressive activism advocacy group, and I was leading their book club. And so I'd write in their blog and lead the book club. And one of our times together, we were reading about the housing crisis, the affordable housing crisis. My background's in journalism, and this is how I got there. So I'm studying this, and I invite several people from the community to speak on this topic. And at the same time, I'm living with my family in my parents' house. We were just displaced from our rental and we're looking to buy a home. We're about 8 months in, just struggling to find a house we can afford here in the Raleigh market. And it just struck a chord with me. And I went to another event and I went there and there were two women, Miss Coronado Hodges and Miss Monique, two incredible Black women who saw me, did not know me from Adam, and declared over me that I was a writer, declared over me that I was a journalist. And that night I came home and I wrote about that event, the affordable housing panel that I went to see and that I met them, where I met them. And that blog, my very first blog post ever, on my very first website ever, went viral in my community. And I got a call one night from a city council member, and they were saying that there was a community member reading my blog during the public comments at the city council meeting, which was a shock to say the very least. I'm sitting on a couch and I call my partner. I'm like, Dave, come here, come here. Like, what is going on? And we pull up the live stream and see this man reading my article at this meeting. And a couple weeks later, I got a call from a local newspaper asking if I wanted to contribute to one of their columns. And like Baldwin, I don't have a degree in writing. I'm just an enthusiast. I love words. I love to write. And so I started writing about what I believed in. I started writing about the plight of Black history in my city in the face of gentrification. I talked about displacement. I talked about respect for our Black institutions. And that I got the bug. I started writing for other local and regional and national platforms that year, 2020, 2021. I wrote a lot. I think I put my 10,000 hours in with writing. And then I kind of saw that while journalism is powerful, it is essential. You know, it's the fourth branch of a democracy. It is also very hard for people to engage with sometimes because the world is a hard place. And I also wanted a space to be able to tell our stories. And sometimes mainstream media just isn't as receptive. And so I started a magazine in 2019 called Boss Magazine. It's a literary journal that comes out annually. And I was able to come up with a theme that honors Raleigh's Black community, our history and culture. And then I was able to receive submissions from writers and artists, poets, photographers, journalists all over the state to write about these themes. And it has become such a joy to see our stories being told our way, you know, through our passion, through our voice, whatever that is, if you're a writer or a photographer or a painter in those creative ways. And so when it came to storytelling, I saw the power of it. I believe it's just powerful. I believe that a good story can overcome so many adverse feelings to the content that is held inside of that story because it engages someone's heart and engages someone's soul. They get caught up in the story. You know, that's something that we say to each other. I got caught up in this story. I got caught up in the storyline to any good movie or good song or good book. And I loved getting people caught up in the story and then being able to share whatever message was important to me at the time with them through that story.
Courtney, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
What is one thing that an artist needs to understand about small business, understand about business? And my answer is pricing. Artists, we all undervalue ourselves. I think it's just I don't know where it's from, but I've never met someone who values themselves appropriately. But I believe those who value themselves the least are artists and creatives. And part of the reason is because our society doesn't value them very much. We value fame, but not so much artistry. When it comes to the artist, and all artists are business owners, every single solitary one of us, one thing we have to take time with is pricing and understanding how to accurately price our services and our art. We have to think about not just how good we think it is. That does not necessarily determine the price of something. It's not how good it is or isn't. It's about how much time, energy, effort, and resources you put into creating the thing. And then the buyer decides if it's good, right? That's a challenge. That's a big challenge, especially for small business owners who happen to be artists, is pricing their art and their services according to their value.
That is so true. We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Rapid Round of Fun. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give us very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Rapid Round of Fun?
Dr. Richards, I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Your favorite comfort food?
Ooh, spaghetti.
The last movie you saw?
American Fiction. Perfect. Perfect movie.
You relax doing what?
A good face mask.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Ooh, Rhapsody. So excited about the new music coming out.
Your favorite dance song?
Cuff It. I'm a big fan of Cuff It right now by Beyonce.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Rice.
Work out or hit the couch?
Very recently workout.
Courtney Napier, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, share with our audience the best way for them to connect with Silver Lining, give all the social media handles, and leave any information you want them to know.
Absolutely. So our website is smallbizsilverlining.com. And the best way to connect with us is either through our form on our website or any social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We would absolutely love to hear from you. Oh, and Alignable as well. We are on the Alignable app.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.